Hey guys, this is James White with Freakin' Reviews, bringing you as seen on TV product reviews, gadget reviews, and more. Now, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider doing so for more videos like this. Today I've got a product called Fastball, which is an as seen on TV phone mount advertised as possibly the world's best phone mount. But does it really work? Let's check it out in today's review. Quick overview of the contents. Oh wow, that's actually a pretty strong magnet. And then they give you extra adhesives if you want to move it, which I think is actually a good idea. And you have the instructions, which I've read several times. A few things to note is that, number one, it cannot be on a textured surface, which kind of rules out a lot of cars. And the instructions say that it needs to be mounted on a hard surface. It doesn't say it has to be totally flat, which is good because a lot of car dashes aren't completely flat. So I'm going to try to find the flattest place on my dash that's not textured and put it on there. The other thing is you're supposed to let it sit 24 hours to cure. So once you mount it, you have to wait a day to actually use it. I'm going to use my iPhone 7 Plus for this. Step number one is to wipe it off with a damp cloth and let it completely dry. All right, it is now dry. Now we peel off the backing and stick it to the phone. Right in the center, it says. That's as close to the center as I can get. Now this has to wait 24 hours before you can use it. This was my first choice, but I really didn't find any good spots to place it because the dash is textured. A lot of these areas are curved, so I'm gonna have to use my other car and place it in there. I think I have a better spot than I do in here. Kind of disappointing. The lack of a textured surface could be a problem for some people. I would normally have put it right there, but that's textured. All right, so I guess I'm gonna be stuck with my alternate car. The dash again is textured, so I can't really put it there. This is curved. Don't think I can really do it there either. So I kind of investigated. This spot right here is almost completely flat. I would really like to put it right there. That would be perfect, but I was noticing when I put it there, it's not really, there's not a lot of the surface being in contact with the dash. So up here, it seems like it's a lot flatter. Most of it will be touching the surface, so that's probably the best spot I have to choose from. Not my ideal spot, but the best spot I have to choose from. So I gotta clean this off, let it dry, and then attach it. Okay. That's about as good as I'm gonna do in either of my cars. So now I let that sit 24 hours, and then I can start using it. All right, it's been 24 hours, actually 24 and a half hours. Let's give it a try. By the way, I just watched the commercial again. They describe this as an ultra thin magnetic backing. I don't think that's really ultra thin. It's a quarter of an inch thick. When you set it on a table, it kind of wobbles like that. That's not really ultra thin to me, but that's beside the point. Let's see how well the actual Fastball works. The base is still in place, that's a good thing. Based on how well it worked just when I was holding it in my hands, I'm gonna guess it was gonna work pretty well. Okay. Pull it off. It feels like a pretty strong magnet. That's pretty good. It does feel pretty secure. I mean, it's not hard to pull off, but it definitely feels like it's secure. I do like that. And I also am not sure, but look how thick that is. That is not ultra thin. Not ultra thin, but that's holding pretty well. Let me take a little drive and hit some kind of bouncy road and see how well it holds up there, which I'm assuming it's gonna do pretty well. All right, I've got Google Maps up here. It's not the actual map where I live, but it's a map itself. The phone is not even really moving around much or bouncing around, so I'm kind of impressed with that. You know, I've used some other phone mounts like this where it's kind of wobbly, falls off. This seems very secure. It holds it very nicely. It's not perfect. There are some pros and cons to it, which I'll discuss later. But my first use, I mean, I used the handy holder, which I don't know if you remember that one. That's one of my old reviews. And it did not hold this well. It did not mount this well, did not hold this well. The handy holder didn't seem like it had the flexibility that this one does, and nor did it seem like it had the magnetic power that this one does. This seems a lot stronger than the handy holder was. All right, so I drove around for about 15 minutes and it worked pretty well. I was able to adjust it about any angle. It seemed like it wasn't flopping around, vibrating around. It didn't fall off. So my first test of the Fastball is a positive one. Now, there aren't a lot of tests I can really do with it besides that, but what I'm going to do is leave this phone in here overnight, which is the same test I did with my Fixate gel pads, which those failed miserably. I tried to hold my phone against my dash, fell off after a couple hours. Let's see what it looks like. Oh no. I'm going to check this again tonight, maybe in about 6 hours. If it's still holding, I'll check tomorrow morning. If that's the case, I'm pretty confident it will hold long term. But my first impression, besides a few cons, kind of liking it. This is where it's going to stay, either until it falls off or until tomorrow morning. It should be interesting. Let's see what happens. On second thought, I brought my pillow out here to put underneath the phone, just in case it falls. I don't trust it that much yet. All right, there we go. Just in case it falls, it's got somewhere soft to go. Not that I expect it to, but just in case. All right, let's see what we've got here. Oh. Okay, well, 18 hours and it stayed held in place. I would say that was a successful test. Good job, Fastball. No use for the MyPillow then. Now, portability is going to be something that's going to be a factor depending on how you use it. Now, in the commercial, they show it in a lot of different locations: on a table, on their fridge, on a boat, in the car. If you're planning on moving the base, it's going to be a problem because you have to physically remove it, attach a new adhesive, and let it sit 24 hours. But if you just want to use it on a magnetic surface, like the fridge or the boat, as they showed in the commercial, portability isn't too much of a problem because this will stick to anything metal. Some people like to use their phones on a flat surface where they can type like this, but if you have the magnetic backing on there, you kind of get that. That is definitely a factor to consider. The next thing to do is see how easily this base removes from the car. So they say you can use string. I couldn't find any, so I found some dental floss. No, not this dental floss. I found some dental floss. I want to see how that works. Let's check it out. They say to use a sawing motion. No, I was afraid of that. I feel like I'm actually getting close, even with a dental floss. This may have been easier with string after all. Oh, there it goes. All right, so let's see what kind of residue we got left here. Not too bad, really. Actually, there's no residue at all. So I'm actually pretty happy about that. I was expecting it to be discolored or residue. So that came out pretty easily, even with cheap dental floss. String will probably be better though. All right, so I think that the Fastball test was mostly a success. Let's go inside and wrap this up. All right, let's talk about some of the pros and cons. I think the biggest con is the thickness of the magnetic backing, which to me, it's about as thick as my phone itself. So it's definitely not ultra thin. The other con is that the base requires a non-textured surface, which kind of rules out walls and dashes. And the other thing is that if you want to move the base, you have to take the adhesive off and put a new one on there. It's kind of a bit of a pain. As far as the pros go, the Pro is actually pretty compelling though. It actually works really well once everything is in place. The other thing is that if you want to put your phone somewhere that has a magnetic surface, you don't need the base for it at all. You can just put it right on there. So I think that, cons aside, it works pretty well as a phone mount. If I had to give it a rating, I'd say I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. A couple cons, take a few points off, but otherwise, it's actually pretty good. I picked up Fastball at Walmart for the price of $9.88. Have you tried Fastball or a phone mount like this? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Please follow my social profiles for progress pictures, videos as I go. Also my new Patreon page. Please subscribe for more product reviews from me, James White, with Freakin' Reviews.